Welcome to this sacred journey into the ancient wisdom of breath meditation. Find a comfortable seated position, whether on a cushion, a chair, or the floor. Allow your spine to be naturally upright, not rigid, but gently aligned. Let your hands rest comfortably on your knees or in your lap. Take a moment to arrive, to let go of wherever you've been, whatever you've been doing. There's nowhere else you need to be, nothing else you need to do. Simply be here, present, available to this practice. Gently close your eyes and begin to turn your attention inward. Tonight, we explore one of the most ancient and sacred texts of meditation practice, the Vigyan Bhairav Tantra. This extraordinary text contains 112 meditation techniques revealed by Lord Shiva to his beloved goddess Parvati. These are not ordinary teachings, they are direct methods for realizing the deepest truth of existence, for experiencing the divine consciousness that you already are. The beauty of these techniques is their simplicity. They don't require years of preparation, complex visualizations, or strenuous effort. They work with what is most natural, most intimate, most immediately available, your breath. The breath is called the supreme energy, the goddess herself. With every inhale, life force enters your body. With every exhale, that energy returns to its source. The breath is the bridge between the manifest and the unmanifest, between the body and consciousness, between the finite and the infinite. By working with the breath, by bringing refined awareness to this most natural process, you access the doorway to stillness, to peace, to the direct experience of divine consciousness. The first technique we'll explore tonight is beautifully simple, yet profoundly transformative. Lord Shiva tells the goddess, the supreme energy goes upward with exhalation and downward with inhalation. By concentrating on the two places of its origin, one acquires the state of fulfillment. Listen to these words carefully. The two places of its origin. What are these mysterious places? They are the gaps, the pauses, the moments of complete stillness that occur naturally in every breathing cycle. There is a gap between the inhale and the exhale, a brief pause where the breath has come in fully, and for just a moment, everything stops. And there is a gap between the exhale and the inhale, where the breath has gone out completely, and for just a moment, there is absolute stillness before the next breath arrives. These gaps are sacred thresholds. In these moments, the body is completely still, not breathing in, not breathing out. Just being. And when the body is completely still, the mind has the opportunity to become still as well. This is the secret. In the gap, thought naturally disappears. Because thought is movement, thought is activity. When you rest in the gap, in that moment of absolute stillness, the mind falls silent. And in that silence, you touch something infinite, something eternal, the consciousness that you truly are. Why does Shiva call these gaps the places of origin? Because the breath originates from God and returns to God. In the gap, you are at the source, you are at the origin. You are, in that moment, concentrated on God Himself. Now, let's begin the practice. But first, an important instruction: do not try to manipulate your breath. Do not try to breathe in a special way, to make it slower or deeper or different. Simply observe. Let the breath be completely natural, as it is. The practice is this: you will observe your full breathing cycle with gentle awareness. You'll notice the breath coming in, filling your lungs. You'll notice the brief pause at the top of the inhale. You'll notice the breath flowing out, leaving your body. And you'll notice the brief pause at the bottom of the exhale. Your primary focus, your main attention, will rest on those gaps, those pauses. But you must also maintain awareness during the inhale and exhale, or your mind will wander. So you observe the entire cycle, with special attention on the gaps. Let's begin. Bring your awareness to your breath. Notice the natural rhythm of your breathing, not trying to change it, simply observing. Feel the breath entering your nostrils, cool, fresh, filling your chest, expanding your lungs. And now, at the top of the inhale, notice the gap, that brief moment of stillness. Rest your attention there, even if it's just a fraction of a second. Now the breath flows out, warm, releasing, leaving your body. And at the bottom of the exhale, another gap, another moment of complete stillness. Rest your attention here as well. Continue like this. Breathing naturally, observing the full cycle, but placing your primary awareness on the gaps. Inhale, notice the breath coming in, pause, rest in the gap. Exhale, notice the breath going out, pause, rest in the gap. If your mind wanders into thought, and it will, simply notice, and gently bring your attention back to the breath. Back to the cycle. Back to the gaps. No judgment, no frustration, just a gentle return. As you continue this practice, you may notice something beginning to happen. The breath may start to become more subtle, more refined. You are not making this happen. It happens by itself through the power of your awareness. The gaps may begin to lengthen slightly. The entire breathing cycle may slow down, becoming softer, gentler, more spacious. Continue. Observing the inhale, resting in the gap. Observing the exhale, resting in the gap. Let your awareness sink deeper into these moments of stillness. In the gap, there is no movement, no doing, just pure being. Let yourself rest there, even if only for a heartbeat. As the mind becomes more concentrated on these points of stillness, thoughts begin to lose their power. They may still arise, but they don't pull you away so easily. You are anchored in the breath, anchored in the gaps, anchored in stillness. And with this anchoring comes a natural peace. Not a peace you create, but a peace that reveals itself when the mind becomes quiet. A peace that was always here, hidden beneath the constant activity of thinking. Continue with the practice, breathing naturally, observing completely, resting in the gaps. You may begin to feel a subtle sense of joy arising. This too is natural. When the mind calms, when you rest in stillness, the inherent joy of your being begins to surface. Not excitement, but a quiet, deep contentment. A sense of fulfillment, just as the verse promises. Keep practicing. Inhale, gap, exhale, gap. Over and over, cycling through. Each time, resting a little more deeply in those moments of stillness. Remember, you are not trying to stop your thoughts forcefully. You are simply concentrating the mind on a point, on the gaps. It's easier to concentrate the mind on something than to try to stop thinking directly. And when the mind is concentrated, thoughts naturally subside on their own. The breath is the easiest, most natural object for this concentration. It's always with you, always available, requiring nothing external. Just this, just awareness, just the breath and its natural pauses. Continue, letting each cycle bring you deeper into stillness, deeper into peace. The philosophy here is profound. By engaging with energy, the breath, the goddess, you realize consciousness, God, Shiva, fulfillment. Energy is the means. Consciousness is the goal. But they're not truly separate. In the gap, energy dissolves into consciousness, and you discover they were always one. Keep observing, keep resting in the gaps. Let the practice be effortless, just a gentle placing of attention, again and again. As we approach the end of this first practice session, maintain your awareness. Don't let the mind rush ahead to what's next. Stay present with each breath, each gap, each moment of stillness. The state of fulfillment the verse speaks of is not something dramatic or extraordinary. It's this simple peace, this quiet joy, this sense of being complete just as you are. Nothing more is needed. In the gap, you lack nothing. You are whole. Continue for a few more cycles. Breathing, pausing, breathing, pausing. Resting in the stillness. Touching the origin. Meeting God in the gap. Beautiful. Now, begin to allow your awareness to expand slightly. Maintaining the sense of peace you've cultivated, but widening your attention to include your whole body, the space around you. Keep breathing naturally, but you can release the intense focus on the gaps. Just rest in the afterglow of the practice, in the quietness you've discovered. Take a moment to notice how you feel. Is the mind calmer than when you began? Is there more spaciousness, more peace? Even if the effect is subtle, honor it. This is the beginning. This first technique, concentrating on the gaps, is the foundation. It establishes the breath as your primary gateway to stillness. It trains the mind to rest in the pauses, in the moments between activity. And it introduces you to the profound truth that in stillness, thought disappears, and the divine is revealed. You can practice this technique anytime you sit in meditation. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, however long feels right. With time and patience, the gaps will lengthen, the mind will quiet more easily, and the sense of peace and fulfillment will deepen. But for now, simply rest. Rest in the awareness you've cultivated. Rest in the stillness you've touched. Rest in the knowing that the breath is always here, always available, always ready to guide you home to peace. When you are ready, take a deep, full breath. And gently, slowly, begin to open your eyes. Returning to the outer world, but carrying this inner stillness with you. Well done. The journey has begun. Welcome back to this continuing journey through the sacred breath meditations of the Vigyan Bhairav Tantra. Find your comfortable seated position once again, spine naturally upright, hands resting gently, and softly close your eyes. Take a few natural breaths, arriving fully into this moment. Let go of any residual tension in your body, any lingering thoughts from your day. You are here now, present, ready for the next level of practice. In the first technique, you learned to focus on the gaps between breaths, those sacred pauses where complete stillness occurs. Tonight, we expand that focus slightly, moving from the pinpoint precision of the gap to the broader awareness of the breath's turning. Lord Shiva reveals this second technique to the goddess: concentrate on the two places where the breath turns from inside to outside and also from outside to inside. O goddess, in this way, through the goddess, the essential form of God is realized. Notice the subtle difference. Instead of concentrating strictly on the pause alone, we now observe the turning, the transition, the shift from one direction to another. This is a slightly larger zone of awareness, encompassing three elements. First, the ending of the inhale, then the gap or pause, and then the beginning of the exhale. This is one turning point. And second, the ending of the exhale, then the gap, and then the beginning of the inhale. This is the other turning point. Why this expanded focus? Because it makes the practice more continuous, more flowing. You are not just catching momentary glimpses of stillness, you are riding the wave of transition, staying present through the entire shift from inward to outward energy, and from outward to inward energy. Think of it like watching a pendulum swing. At the furthest point of its arc, it pauses for just a moment before reversing direction. You are not just watching that momentary pause, you are watching the entire region where the pendulum slows, stops, and begins moving the opposite way. This is the turning. The breath is the most natural rhythm found in life. Your mind is naturally attracted to rhythm, to pattern, to flow. This is why music calms the mind, why the sound of waves or rain is soothing. The breath is your internal rhythm, always present, always cycling. By bringing conscious awareness to this natural rhythm, specifically to the points where it reverses direction, you anchor the mind in the present moment. And when the mind is anchored in the present, fully absorbed in what is happening now, it cannot wander into past or future. And without past or future, the thinking mind begins to dissolve. Let's begin the practice. Bring your awareness to your breath, breathing naturally, without any manipulation. Just observe the breath as it is. Now, begin to notice the inhale. Feel the breath flowing in through your nostrils, filling your lungs. Notice when that inward movement begins to slow, to ease, to complete. And now, the turning point. The inhale is ending, there's a brief pause or gap, and the exhale is beginning. Stay present through this entire transition zone, the ending, the pause, the beginning. Feel the breath flowing out now, leaving your body, releasing. Notice when that outward movement begins to slow, to ease, to complete. And the second turning point. The exhale is ending, there's the gap again, and the inhale is beginning. Stay present through this complete transition, the ending, the pause, the beginning. Continue with this awareness. Observing the full cycle, but with heightened attention on these two turning points where the breath reverses direction. Inward, turning, outward, turning, inward, turning, outward, turning. If thoughts arise, and they will, simply acknowledge them without getting involved. Don't dwell on the thought, don't analyze it, don't feel upset that you got distracted. Just gently, kindly, bring your attention back to the breath, back to the turning points. This is the practice. This gentle, persistent returning. Each time you notice you've wandered and you bring yourself back, you are strengthening your capacity for presence. You are training the mind to rest in the now. As you continue, you may notice the breath naturally becoming more subtle, more refined. The turning points may become more pronounced, more easeful. You are not making this happen, it's happening through the power of your sustained awareness. Continue. Breathing in, awareness on the transition. Breathing out, awareness on the transition. The philosophy here is beautiful. You are engaging with the goddess, the energy, the breath, the life force, and through her, you are realizing God, pure consciousness, the essential form. Energy and consciousness are not separate. They're two aspects of the same reality. Energy is the dynamic, moving, creative aspect. Consciousness is the still, silent, witnessing aspect. By riding the rhythm of energy, by staying present with the breath's turning, you dissolve into consciousness. Keep practicing. Maintain continuous awareness of the full breathing cycle, with special focus on where the breath turns. You may notice your mind becoming quieter. Thoughts are still there, perhaps, but they're less compelling, less sticky. They arise and pass like clouds across the sky of your awareness. You are no longer getting caught in them, you are resting in the breath's rhythm. This is the fruit of the practice, a mind that is present, that is here, that is now. And in this presence, a natural peace emerges. Not because you are forcing peace, but because peace is the natural state when the mind stops its restless movement. Continue. Inhale, turning, exhale, turning. Over and over, like waves on a shore, a rhythm ancient and eternal. The breath connects you to all of life. Every living being breathes. Every creature rides this same rhythm of in and out, receiving and releasing. In this moment, as you breathe, you are participating in the universal dance of life. But more than that, through conscious awareness of the breath's turning, you are transcending ordinary life. You are moving from the ego self that thinks and worries and plans, to pure awareness, which simply witnesses, which simply is. Keep your attention on the turning points. Don't let the mind wander during the inhale or exhale. Stay present through the entire cycle, with heightened awareness at the transitions. As the practice deepens, you may feel a subtle sense of expansion. The boundaries between inside and outside begin to blur. Is the breath inside you, or are you inside the breath? Where does one end and the other begin? At the turning points, there's no clear division. It's all one continuous flow of energy, turning inward, turning outward, eternally cycling. And you are the awareness that knows this, the consciousness that witnesses this dance. Continue practicing. Each breath is fresh, each turning point is new. Stay present, stay aware, rest in the rhythm. The text promises that through this practice, the essential form of God is realized. What does this mean? God is not somewhere far away, not in some distant heaven. The essential form of God is pure awareness, pure consciousness, pure being. And it's always here, always present, always accessible. When the thinking mind dissolves, when you stop being the thinker and simply become the aware presence, you realize God. Not as an external deity, but as your own essential nature. You are that consciousness. You have always been that consciousness. You just forgot, lost in the movement of thoughts. The breath, with its natural rhythm and its turning points, brings you back. It reminds you. It shows you the way home to your own essential being. Keep practicing. Inhale, transition, exhale, transition. Let the rhythm carry you deeper into stillness, deeper into presence, deeper into the realization of what you truly are. If the mind feels distracted today, if it's harder to concentrate, don't be discouraged. This is natural. Some days the mind is quiet, some days it's busy. The practice remains the same. Observe the breath, focus on the turning points, and gently return whenever you wander. With consistency, the thoughts will gradually diminish. What seemed impossible to focus on at first will become easy. What seemed subtle and hard to detect will become obvious. The mind will learn to rest in the breath's rhythm, and in that resting, peace will flower. Continue. Stay with the practice. Breathing, turning, breathing, turning. Present, aware, here. As we come toward the end of this practice session, maintain your awareness for a few more cycles. Don't let the mind rush ahead. Stay with each breath, each turning point, each moment of transition. Beautiful. Now, begin to release the intense focus. Continue breathing naturally, but you don't need to concentrate so precisely on the turning points anymore. Just rest in the general sense of the breath, the rhythm, the flow. Notice the quality of your mind now. Is it calmer? Is there more spaciousness? Even if thoughts are still present, is there less identification with them? Are you more the witness, less the thinker? This is progress. This is the path. Little by little, breath by breath, you are training the mind to rest in presence rather than getting lost in thought. Take a moment to feel gratitude for this ancient teaching, passed down through thousands of years, gratitude for your own commitment to practice, gratitude for the breath itself, the constant companion that guides you home to stillness. This second technique, focusing on the turning of the breath, can be alternated with the first technique. Some days, concentrate on the gaps. Other days, focus on the turning points. Both lead to the same destination, the dissolution of the thinking mind and the realization of pure consciousness. Rest now in the peace you've cultivated. Let it permeate your being. Let it settle into your cells. This peace is always available. The breath is always here. The turning points are always accessible. You can return to this practice anytime you need to find your center, to calm your mind, to remember your essential nature. When you are ready, take a deep, nourishing breath. And gently open your eyes. Returning to the outer world, but carrying this inner rhythm, this inner peace, with you. Well done. The journey continues. Welcome, once more to this sacred practice. Settle into your seat, let your body find its natural alignment, hands resting comfortably, and close your eyes softly. Take a few breaths to arrive, to let go of external concerns, to turn your attention fully inward. You've been on this journey through the breath meditations of the Vigyan Bhairav Tantra, and tonight, we go deeper still. The third technique revealed by Lord Shiva is, in essence, a restatement and deepening of the first practice. Why would Shiva repeat himself? Because this particular technique is so important, so powerful, so central to the path of meditation, that it deserves special emphasis. Listen to these words. At the center where the breath does not enter or the breath does not go out, all thoughts disappear. The form of energy becomes visible, and through her the form of God appears. The center, this mysterious point between the breaths, this gap we've been exploring. Shiva calls it the place where all thoughts disappear. This is not hyperbole. This is not poetic exaggeration. This is a precise description of what actually happens. In the gap, you are completely still. You are not breathing in, you are not breathing out. There is no movement whatsoever. And in that moment of complete physical stillness, the mind, which feeds on movement, which thrives on activity, has nothing to hold on to. Thoughts naturally cease. Think about it, your mind is always active because your body is always active. Even when you are sitting still, you are breathing, your heart is beating, sensations are arising. The mind feeds on this constant flow of input and output. But in the gap, for that brief moment, there is absolute stillness. No input, no output. Nothing happening. And when nothing is happening in the body, the mind has no fuel. It falls silent, like a fire without wood. Not because you are forcing it to be quiet, but because its natural source of activity has temporarily stopped. This is the key to the entire practice. Body stillness creates mind stillness. When you bring complete attention to the gap, that moment of non-breathing, you create the conditions for thought to disappear on its own. And when thought disappears, what remains? Pure awareness. Pure consciousness. The form of energy, the form of God, your own essential nature, revealed in its nakedness, no longer covered by the constant movement of mental activity. The practice is exactly what you learned in the first segment, but now we understand its profound importance. Now we know why Shiva emphasizes this particular technique, gives it again, underscores its transformative power. Let's practice, but with this deepened understanding of what's truly happening in the gap. Bring your awareness to your breath. Let it flow naturally, no manipulation, no control. Just observe. Feel the breath coming in, filling your lungs, nourishing your body. And now, the gap. That moment where the in-breath has completed and the out-breath has not yet begun. Pay complete attention to this gap. Don't miss it. Even if it's just a fraction of a second, be there, fully present. In this gap, you are completely still. Not even breathing. Just being. Let your awareness rest completely in this stillness. Now the breath flows out, warm, releasing, leaving your body. And again, the second gap. The out-breath has completed and the in-breath has not yet begun. Again, complete attention. Be absolutely present in this moment of non-breathing. Complete stillness. Nothing happening. Just awareness resting in the gap. Continue this way. Breathing naturally, but placing your fullest attention on the gaps, on those centers of stillness. Don't try to hold your breath. Don't try to extend the gap artificially. Let everything be natural. The body knows how to breathe. You are simply witnessing, but witnessing with total presence, with complete attention. As you continue, you may notice the breath beginning to slow down, to soften, to become more gentle. This is the body's natural response to deep attention. You are not making it happen, it happens by itself. The gaps may begin to lengthen slightly. The breath may become so subtle that you almost can't feel it. This is beautiful. This is the breath refining itself, becoming more like energy in its pure form, less like the gross movement of air. Keep your attention on the gaps. Don't miss a single one. Each gap is a doorway. Each gap is an opportunity for thought to seize. Each gap is a moment of touching God. You may notice that when you are truly present in the gap, thought actually does stop. There's no commentary, no narrative, no mental chatter. Just stillness. Just awareness. Just being. This is what the verse promises. All thoughts disappear. Not through effort, not through struggle, but simply through the power of being completely still and completely aware. Continue. Breathing in, resting in the gap, breathing out, resting in the gap. Over and over. Each cycle an opportunity to deepen into stillness. The philosophy here is profound. The form of energy becomes visible. What does this mean? Energy, the goddess, the breath, when it becomes completely still, when it rests in the gap, its true nature is revealed. It's not just air moving in and out, it's divine energy, cosmic power, the creative force of existence itself. And through her, through energy becoming still and revealing itself, the form of God appears. God, Shiva, pure consciousness, is always here, always present. But it's hidden by the constant movement of the mind. When the mind stops in the gap, God is revealed. Not as something new appearing, but as what was always here, simply uncovered. Keep practicing. Stay with the gaps. Let each moment of stillness be complete. Don't rush through it to the next breath. Really rest there, however briefly. Imagine a calm, serene lake. When you look at a perfectly still lake, your mind becomes tranquil. The stillness of the lake creates stillness in you. In the same way, when your body becomes completely still in the gap, your mind becomes completely still. It's an automatic reflection. This is why body-based practices are so powerful. You are not trying to quiet the mind directly. You are creating the physical conditions that naturally lead to mental quiet. The body's stillness is reflected in the mind's stillness. Continue. Each gap is a little lake of perfect calm. Rest in it. Let it quiet you from the inside out. As you deepen into this practice, you may begin to feel a profound sense of peace arising. Not excitement, not bliss in the dramatic sense, but a deep, quiet contentment. A feeling that everything is exactly as it should be, that nothing is lacking, that you are complete. This is the state of fulfillment the verses speak of. It's not something you achieve in the future. It's what's revealed when the mind stops seeking, stops striving, stops moving. In the gap, you are not going anywhere, you are not becoming anything, you are simply being. And in that being, you discover you were always fulfilled, you just never stopped long enough to notice. Keep your attention on the gaps. If your mind wanders into thought, gently bring it back. Don't be upset with yourself. The mind's nature is to wander. Your practice is to notice and return. Notice and return. Again and again, with patience and kindness. Gradually, the thoughts will diminish. What was a flood becomes a trickle. What was a trickle becomes occasional drops. And eventually, in the gap, there may be no thought at all, just pure, empty, luminous awareness. Continue practicing. Breathing, pausing, breathing, pausing. Each gap a little deeper, each stillness a little more complete. The text says that as awareness increases, you become more peaceful and joyful. Notice if this is true in your experience. As you stay present in the gaps, as thoughts diminish, does peace naturally arise? Does a subtle joy begin to bloom? This is not something you create through positive thinking or forcing yourself to feel good. This is what emerges when the mind stops its agitation. Peace and joy are your natural state. They're what remains when the layers of mental activity are removed. The gap reveals this truth. In that moment of non-breathing, of complete stillness, you touch your natural state. And your natural state is peace, is joy, is fulfillment. Keep resting in the gaps. Let each one reveal a little more of your true nature. Let each one dissolve a little more of the false identification with thought. As we move toward the end of this practice session, maintain your attention for a few more cycles. Stay completely present, completely aware, completely still in the gaps. The form of God appears. Not as a vision, not as a voice, but as the peace itself, as the joy itself, as the sense of being complete and whole. God is not an external entity to be found somewhere else. God is the stillness that you are, the awareness that witnesses, the consciousness that knows. Continue. Breathing, gap, breathing, gap. Touching God with each moment of stillness. Realizing your true nature with each cessation of thought. Beautiful. Now, begin to release the intense focus. Continue breathing naturally, but you don't need to concentrate so precisely anymore. Just rest, rest in the quiet you've discovered, rest in the peace that's emerged. Take a moment to honor what you've experienced. In these gaps, these seemingly tiny moments between breaths, you've touched something infinite. You've dissolved thought. You've experienced stillness. You've glimpsed your own essential nature. This is the path. This is the practice. Not elaborate, not complex, just this simple attention to the gap where breath does not enter and does not go out. In this center, all thoughts disappear. In this center, God is revealed. You can practice this anytime you sit. Even in daily life, you can bring awareness to the gaps between breaths, finding moments of stillness and peace throughout your day. The practice is always available because the breath is always here. Rest now in the deep calm you've cultivated. Let it settle into your bones. Let it become part of you. This peace is not separate from you. It is you, when the false layers are removed. When you are ready, take a full, deep breath. Feel the life force filling you. And gently, in your own time, open your eyes. Returning to the world, but carrying this center of stillness within you. Well done. The journey deepens. Welcome to the deepest level of breath meditation revealed in the Vigyan Bhairav Tantra. Find your seat, settle into comfort, and close your eyes gently. Take a few natural breaths, arriving into this moment, into this practice. Let your body relax, let your mind release its grip on thoughts and concerns. You are here now, ready to explore the most profound stage of breath awareness. The first 3 techniques you've learned have been building towards something extraordinary. You've learned to observe the gaps, to focus on the turning points, to rest in the center of stillness. And if you've been practicing these with sincerity and consistency, something natural has been happening. Your breath has been slowing down, becoming more subtle, more refined. Tonight, we explore what lies beyond even these practices, a state where the breath stops completely on its own, without any effort or intention on your part. Lord Shiva reveals this 4th technique, when by itself the breath is retained after inhalation or exhalation, then in the end, through energy known as peace, peace is revealed. Read those first words carefully, by itself. This is not something you do. This is not a technique where you hold your breath deliberately. This is a spontaneous phenomenon that arises naturally from deep meditation, a state in yoga called kumbhaka, where the breath simply stops. Why would the breath stop? Because as your awareness deepens, as your mind becomes calmer, as you rest more deeply in stillness, your body's need for oxygen actually diminishes. The metabolic rate slows. The cells require less fuel. And the breath, responding to the body's decreased need, naturally pauses, sometimes for many seconds, sometimes for minutes. But you must understand, this is an advanced state. It doesn't happen in your first meditation session. It emerges gradually, as a result of consistent practice. The breath becomes slower and slower, more and more subtle, until eventually, there are moments where it stops completely on its own. And when it stops, when there is this spontaneous retention, something profound occurs. The mind, which is intimately connected to the breath, becomes completely still. And in that stillness, the deepest peace, what the text calls peace with a capital P, the ultimate peace of divine consciousness, is revealed. There's a beautiful teaching about breath and lifespan. The ancient yogis observed that animals with slower breathing live longer. A turtle breathes slowly and lives for centuries. A dog pants rapidly and lives only years. The slower and deeper your breath, the longer and more tranquil your life. This technique taps into this profound relationship. By cultivating breath awareness, by allowing the breath to become more subtle, you are not just calming the mind, you are actually shifting your entire relationship with life and energy. Now, let me be very clear about what we are doing tonight. We are not trying to force the breath to stop. We are not deliberately holding the breath. That can be dangerous without proper guidance. Instead, we are continuing the same practice you've been doing, simple awareness of the breath, and we are allowing whatever wants to happen naturally. If the breath spontaneously pauses for a longer period, beautiful. If it doesn't, that's also fine. The practice is the same. Observe the breath with gentle, continuous awareness, and let your body find its own natural rhythm. Let's begin. Sit comfortably, spine naturally upright, hands resting easily. Close your eyes if you haven't already. Bring your awareness to your breath. No manipulation, no control. Just simple observation. Notice the breath as it naturally flows. Feel the breath coming in, cool at the nostrils, filling the lungs, nourishing every cell. Feel the breath flowing out, warm, releasing, letting go. Just observe. Stay with the breath. Gentle awareness, continuous attention. As you maintain this awareness, the breath may begin to slow down automatically. You are not making it slower, it's slowing by itself through the power of your attention. Notice how the breath becomes more gentle, more subtle. Each cycle perhaps a little longer than before. The time for one complete inhale and exhale may be increasing. The number of breaths per minute decreasing. This is natural. This is the body's wisdom responding to your conscious presence. Continue observing. Breathing in, breathing out. Allowing the natural rhythm to unfold. Letting the breath become as subtle as it wants to be. You may notice the breath becoming so light, so refined, that you can barely feel it. As if you are breathing air as fine as silk, as delicate as mist. This is the breath approaching its most subtle form, approaching pure energy. Keep your awareness steady. Don't strain. Don't force anything. Just observe with gentle, continuous attention. Now, here's what may happen, and I emphasize may, because this is a natural process that unfolds in its own time. At some point, after an inhale or after an exhale, the breath may simply not come. There's no need for the next breath. The body is so calm, so still, so at peace, that it doesn't require more oxygen in that moment. If this happens, don't panic. Don't force a breath. Simply rest in the awareness of non-breathing. This is the state the text speaks of. When by itself the breath is retained. You remain completely aware, completely conscious, but not breathing. It's not unconsciousness, it's superconsciousness. It's a state of heightened awareness combined with complete physical stillness. This is the energy known as peace. The life force itself, the breath, when it becomes completely still, reveals its true nature as peace. Continue with your practice. Breathing naturally, observing completely. And if a spontaneous pause occurs, simply rest in it. For most practitioners, this spontaneous cessation may not occur in a single session. That's perfectly fine. The practice itself, the simple awareness of breath, is already bringing you peace, already calming the mind, already creating the conditions for deeper states to emerge. Keep observing your breath. Notice its subtlety, its refinement, its increasingly gentle nature. Even if the breath doesn't stop completely, you may notice the gaps between breaths becoming longer. The pause after the inhale, lasting a bit longer. The pause after the exhale, extending naturally. This too is progress. This too is the breath approaching stillness. Continue. Breathing, observing, resting in whatever natural rhythm emerges. There's a deeper teaching here about Kundalini, the dormant spiritual energy that rests at the base of the spine. When the breath becomes very subtle or stops completely, when the mind is deeply still, this energy naturally begins to rise through the central channel of the body, the Sushumna Nadi. As Kundalini rises, you may feel various sensations, warmth, tingling, a sense of energy moving upward. Or you may simply feel a deepening peace, a profound stillness. This is the energy ascending toward the crown of the head, the Sahasrara chakra. When this energy reaches the crown, the text tells us, liberation occurs. The individual consciousness merges with universal consciousness. The sense of separation dissolves completely. But let me be very clear, you should never try to force Kundalini to rise. This is a natural process that happens on its own through sincere practice. Trying to manipulate this energy can be dangerous. If you ever feel any discomfort, any distress, any overwhelming sensations, you should immediately stop the practice and seek guidance from an experienced teacher. Our practice tonight is simply to observe the breath, to allow it to become subtle, and to rest in whatever state naturally emerges. That's all. Safe, gentle, natural. Continue. Breathing softly, aware completely. Present with whatever is. As you rest in this deep awareness, you may notice a profound peace settling over you. Not excitement, not dramatic bliss, but a deep, oceanic calm. A sense that everything is exactly as it should be. That you are held in something vast and benevolent. That there is nothing to fear, nothing to seek, nothing to become. This is the peace the text speaks of. The ultimate peace. Not a temporary calm that depends on circumstances, but the recognition of your essential nature as pure, peaceful consciousness. Keep observing the breath. Let it be as subtle as it wants to be. Let the gaps be as long as they naturally become. And if the breath stops completely, rest in that divine stillness with full awareness. The goal is not to achieve something extraordinary. The goal is to be completely present with what is. To let the body find its own deepest rhythm. To let the mind discover its own natural stillness. To let peace reveal itself when the conditions are right. Continue practicing. Each breath softer than the last, each moment deeper into peace. You are learning to trust the body's wisdom. The body knows how to breathe, how to slow down, how to enter states of deep rest. Your role is simply to bring awareness, to be present, to allow. When you bring this quality of awareness to the breath over time, over months and years of practice, the breath naturally becomes more refined. The nervous system learns to calm itself. The mind learns to rest in stillness. And spontaneous moments of breathlessness may begin to occur, revealing the deepest peace. But even if that doesn't happen today, even if your breath continues normally throughout this practice, you are still doing the practice correctly. You are still cultivating awareness. You are still creating the conditions for peace to emerge. Keep your attention on the breath. Gentle, continuous, allowing. As we approach the end of this practice session, maintain your awareness for a few more cycles. Don't rush. Don't let the mind jump ahead. Stay with the breath. Stay with the present moment. Stay with the peace you've discovered. Notice the quality of stillness in your body. The calmness in your mind. The sense of peace pervading your being. This is what emerges when you simply observe, when you allow, when you trust the natural wisdom of the breath. Beautiful. Now, very gently, begin to release the intense focus. Continue breathing naturally, but you don't need to concentrate so precisely anymore. Just rest in the deep calm, in the subtle energy, in the peace that's present. Take a moment to honor this practice. You've touched something very deep tonight. You've allowed your breath to refine itself. You've created the space for spontaneous stillness to potentially emerge. You've accessed the energy known as peace. This fourth technique is the culmination of the breath practices. It shows you that the ultimate goal is not to control the breath, but to surrender to its deepest nature. When the breath becomes so subtle that it stops by itself, peace is revealed. Not as something you create, but as what you essentially are. You can continue to practice the earlier techniques, focusing on the gaps, on the turning points, and over time, this spontaneous cessation may begin to occur naturally. Be patient. Be gentle with yourself. Trust the process. The breath is a wise teacher, it knows the way. Rest now in the profound stillness you've cultivated. Let it nourish every cell of your being. Let it remind you of your true nature as peaceful consciousness. When you are ready, take a slow, deep breath, feeling the life force fully. And gently, softly, open your eyes. Returning to the outer world, but carrying this deep peace within you. Well done. You've completed the 4 sacred techniques. Welcome to this final segment of our journey through the Vigyan Bhairav Tantra breath meditations. Find your comfortable seat once more, or if you prefer for this final practice, you may lie down in a comfortable position. Whatever allows your body to be most at ease. Close your eyes and take a few natural breaths, arriving fully into this moment. Over these practices, you've learned 4 sacred techniques revealed by Lord Shiva to the goddess Parvati. 4 ways of working with the breath to access stillness, peace, and the direct experience of divine consciousness. The first technique taught you to concentrate on the gaps between breaths, those sacred pauses where complete stillness occurs. The second technique expanded your awareness to the turning points, where the breath shifts from inside to outside, outside to inside. The third technique emphasized the profound importance of the center of stillness, where all thoughts disappear and the form of God is revealed. And the fourth technique showed you the ultimate state, where the breath stops spontaneously and peace itself is revealed. Tonight, in this final practice, we are not focusing on any one technique in particular. Instead, we are simply resting, integrating what you've learned, allowing your body and mind to absorb the wisdom of these practices. This is a time for deep rest, for allowing, for being. You don't need to concentrate intensely. You don't need to try to achieve any particular state. Simply be present, simply breathe, and let whatever wants to happen, happen. Begin by bringing gentle awareness to your breath. Not trying to control it, not trying to make it special, just noticing it as it naturally flows. Inhale, exhale. The most natural rhythm in the world. The rhythm that has sustained you since your first moment of life. The rhythm that will be with you until your last. As you observe the breath, you may notice the gaps naturally. You may notice the turning points. You may notice the breath becoming more subtle. All of this is fine. Whatever your awareness is drawn to, allow it. There's no right or wrong in this practice. There's just presence, just awareness, just being with what is. Continue breathing. Soft, natural, easy. Let your body sink deeper into relaxation. If you are sitting, let any unnecessary tension release. If you are lying down, let the earth support you completely. Nothing to hold, nothing to maintain. Just rest. As the body relaxes, the mind naturally calms. You don't have to make the mind quiet. It quiets by itself when the body is at ease. Keep breathing. Keep allowing. Keep resting. Let's take a moment to reflect on the profound wisdom of these teachings. The breath, this simple, constant companion, is called the Supreme Energy, the Goddess herself. Every moment of your life, she is with you. Every moment, she is offering you the doorway to peace, to stillness, to the divine. You don't need to go anywhere to find God. You don't need special circumstances, special abilities, special knowledge. You only need to bring awareness to the breath, to observe its natural rhythm, to rest in its natural pauses, and the divine reveals itself. This is the beauty of these practices. They're so simple, so accessible, so immediate. The breath is always here. The gaps are always present. The turning points are always available. In any moment, you can return to this practice and find your way back to peace. Continue breathing. Resting in awareness. Letting the practice be effortless. As you breathe, notice how the body breathes itself. You are not doing the breathing, not really. It's happening on its own. The wisdom of the body knows exactly how much air is needed, exactly when to inhale, exactly when to exhale. All you are doing is witnessing, observing, being aware of this miraculous process that continues whether you pay attention or not. But when you do pay attention, something magical happens. The breath becomes more refined, the mind becomes more still, peace emerges from within. Keep observing. Keep allowing. Keep resting in the natural flow. You may notice thoughts arising. This is completely natural. Thoughts are not the enemy. They're just another movement in consciousness, like clouds passing through the sky. You don't need to fight them or suppress them. When you notice a thought, simply acknowledge it, and gently return your awareness to the breath. Not with frustration, not with judgment, just a gentle, kind return. Like calling a puppy back to your side, soft, patient, loving. Each time you return, you are strengthening your capacity for presence. Each time you choose awareness over distraction, you are deepening the practice. Continue. Breathing, noticing, returning. Resting in the rhythm. As we move deeper into this rest, I invite you to let go of any sense of doing the practice correctly. There's no goal to achieve right now, no state to reach, no experience to manufacture. Simply be here, breathing, aware, at peace with however you are in this moment. This acceptance itself is a form of meditation, a recognition that you are already whole, already complete, already worthy, exactly as you are. The breath flows in and out. The gaps appear naturally. The turning points occur effortlessly. And you are the aware presence in which all of this happens. Continue resting. Let the breath become as subtle as it wants. Let the mind become as quiet as it wishes. Let the body be as still as it needs. There's nothing more important than this moment. Nothing more valuable than this practice. Nothing more sacred than this simple act of being present with the breath. In a world that constantly demands your attention, that pulls you in 1,000 directions, that makes you feel like you are never enough, this practice brings you home. Home to yourself. Home to peace. Home to the recognition that you are, in your essence, divine consciousness, temporarily appearing as a human being. The gaps between breaths are gaps in the illusion of separation. In those moments, the false sense of being a limited individual dissolves, and what remains is pure awareness, infinite, eternal, at peace. Continue breathing. Continue resting. Continue being. As you rest here, you may feel a deep sense of gratitude arising. Gratitude for this ancient wisdom, passed down through thousands of years so that you could receive it today. Gratitude for the teachers who preserved these practices. Gratitude for your own commitment to inner exploration. And gratitude for the breath itself, this faithful companion, this divine energy, this bridge between body and spirit, between the manifest and the unmanifest, between form and formlessness. Let gratitude wash through you. Let it deepen your peace. Let it soften your heart. We are coming toward the end of our formal practice time, but the practice itself never ends. Every breath is an opportunity. Every moment is a chance to return to presence, to stillness, to peace. You can carry these practices into your daily life. When you are stressed, bring awareness to the breath. When you are anxious, notice the gaps. When you are overwhelmed, focus on the turning points. When you need deep peace, allow the breath to become subtle and let spontaneous stillness emerge. The breath is always available. The practice is always accessible. Peace is always just a few conscious breaths away. Continue resting for a few more moments. Breathing naturally. Aware gently. At peace completely. As we close this journey through the Vigyan Bhairav Tantra breath meditations, know that you can return to these practices anytime. Each one is a complete path in itself. Each one can lead you to the realization of your true nature as divine consciousness. You might practice one technique for weeks or months until it becomes second nature. Or you might alternate between them, exploring each one freshly. There's no right way, only your way, guided by your own inner wisdom. Trust yourself. Trust the breath. Trust the process. Now, begin to gently expand your awareness. If you've been very deeply relaxed, start to bring small movements back to your body. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Roll your shoulders gently. Take a deep, full breath. Feeling the life force completely. Awakening your body gently and gradually. When you are ready, and only when you are ready, slowly open your eyes. Returning to the outer world, but carrying this inner peace with you. Take a moment before you move on with your day or drift into sleep. Sit with the quietness you've cultivated. Honor the space you've created. Acknowledge the journey you've taken. These practices are your inheritance, your birthright as a human being. The ancient sages discovered them and shared them so that you could free yourself from suffering, could realize your true nature, could live in peace. May you practice with sincerity and patience. May you discover the stillness that has always been within you. May you realize the divine consciousness that you truly are. And may the breath, the supreme energy, the goddess herself, guide you always back to the center, back to the gap, back to the peace that surpasses all understanding. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. Rest well. Practice well. Be at peace.